Alright, ladies and gentlemen, you know why you clicked on this video, so let's not waste your time with an intro and just get right on into it. And while we're doing that, we'll give a little bit of background info. So let's cue the top-down camera and get into the unboxing here. So, this is obviously, from the title and thumbnail, a crazy BMX sprocket. And a little bit of background on this is that it comes from Brotherhood BMX. These guys who started this are Alexei and Sasha Melikov, and they started it in ghetto near Kazan City, Russia, and they started it in 2008. So what we're going to be looking at today is let's sneak a look here. So we'll take a look at that one first, because this is the one that I'm intending on installing. So let's pull this one out first. We got the top-down camera going on here. And ba-da-da-doom, we have the M-line sprocket. Let's pull it out of the packaging here. So check out this sprocket. It is indeed a crazy looking sprocket. You can get a look here. It's got this machined out look to it. Is a guard sprocket. The one that they sent me is a 29 tooth, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna put this on my bike chain wise and rear end length wise. We'll see how that works out for us. But a few facts about this thing include that it's made from 7 series aluminum. It comes in size 25, 28, 29, and 30 tooth, and it comes in either black or raw aluminum. With that, it says directly on their website here that it is not recommended for really hard using. If you're looking for a super strong sprocket, please check out our G804 or G-Line Paradox or M804 sprockets. So I mean, clearly you guys can see why it says it's not made for really hard using, these thin areas of the guard. I feel like it might be okay on wood, but I'm not sure about repetitively bashing this thing on concrete. But that's kind of why I like to test things out. So we're gonna put this onto my bike, provided that it fits with the current chain that I have on there, and we will have that later in this video. But we've got another sprocket to check out, so let's set this one aside here. And we're gonna pull out the next sprocket. So cue the top-down camera again. So here we have it, the Bad Trip sprocket from Brotherhood BMX. Let's pull it out of the bag here. Throw these aside. If we take a closer look at this thing, you can kind of see why it's called the Bad Trip sprocket. This one is in size 26 tooth, and a little bit of information about this one. There's a little bit more on the site about this one. First of all, it only comes in 26 tooth, comes in this aluminum or black. This one is $65, whereas the M line that we have here, I forgot to cover the price, is $110. I'm guessing it's due to the excessive machining that would probably go into making something like this. But with the Bad Trip sprocket, they have got a really long explanation of this, and I'll read it for you right now as well as put it on the screen for those of you who don't want to listen to me read. It says, "This sprocket was designed for those who value BMX foremost for an ability to express themselves. This item is unique for both the industry and the Brotherhood brand. Creating this sprocket, we decided to break all of the rules and go beyond our typical method of developing new products. Armed with the manifesto, it does not take much talent to create something beautiful and balanced. We started to work on an item which would choke, cause perplexity, but will still refer to the highest of standards which Brotherhood requires of their new products. In order to remain ourselves, we took the genes of our well-known sprockets and crossbred it to attain a mutant. Yes, this is the genetically modified sprocket, and this is the world first deconstructivism style BMX sprocket. At the same time, a BMX part and an art object. Your bicycle will not be confused with one another." So that is exactly what this thing is. It is a genetically modified sprocket combining a whole bunch of Brotherhood sprockets into one, as you can see here, and it is wild looking. And I think the design here could actually have some utility to it for those of you who are left side drive, because when you run it left side drive, a couple of these filled in areas will be facing down, and I would assume that a filled in area would probably be stronger than an open area such as these, but at the same time, the more spokes, I guess you could call them, are on this side whenever you have it facing down for right side drive. So who knows about that? It's just an interesting sprocket, and I think that's why they wanted to send it to me. And yes, they did reach out and want to send me these things for a video, and I thought, hey, I've been covering these guys for years. I'm pretty sure I talked about a few of their sprockets. I think there was one called like the Oyster Sprocket or something crazy. They have had some crazy sprockets in the past. I may be confusing that one with another one, but I've talked about their sprockets in my news videos. I always thought it'd be cool to check one out, and then they reached out. And I said, of course, I'd love to talk about it. So let's take another look at it here. 29 tooth goodness of insane machining and a wild looking sprocket. It's safe to say that both of these sprockets are art. It's cool to see art put into a BMX product because sometimes we don't quite get that with BMX products, and it's just kind of cool to see. So on that note, let's cut to trying to put this thing on my bike. Hopefully my chain will allow it. All right, here we are at the bike. So let's first take off my Odyssey keychain. If you guys don't know about the Odyssey keychain, look it up and then get upset that they don't make it anymore and get on Odyssey in full factory to try and get them to remake this thing, because this chain, I literally just broke it with an Allen wrench. And I don't mean broke it in a bad way. I mean, I took the chain apart with an Allen wrench because that's how the keychain works. So we're going to be potentially taking off the RNC titanium sprocket. The thing that I'm worried about here is that this thing is already super close to hitting my frame, and I'm fairly certain that this sprocket being a 29 tooth is not going to work on here. It's probably going to hit my frame, but we're not just going to give up without trying. So we got to loosen up the crank here, if I can remember how to do it. Oh, easy. Maybe I should have had that a little tighter. We'll see here. So we're getting the crank bolt off with the shout out to Park Tool Allen wrenches here. Love me some Park Tools. Okay, now let's pop this crank arm off. I may need a mallet, we'll see. No, I won't. Oh my gosh. I just needed to hit harder. But holy cow, that just scared the crap out of me. Okay, we'll take off our wedge cluster. Take off our cone washer. Okay, now we can pop off the cranks and get this sprocket bolt out. As you can see, I've already got a spacer on the inside of my sprocket, and that is with running no cone spacer on my bottom bracket. So I'm really not wanting to put another spacer between my sprocket and my bottom bracket. I feel like that would make my chain alignment just like way too far off. So I'm not going to do that, but let's see what we got here. Moment of truth here. Let's hope that slid on very nicely. All right, here's the moment of truth. Sliding the crank arm back into the frame, and nope. Oh, wait. Just kidding. We did not put the spacer back onto the crank arm yet. We may have faked you out here. Let's see. See if it will work. Oh my gosh, that is ridiculously close, but it does work. Holy cow. And now that we've jumped over one gigantic hurdle that I was actually really worried about in this whole process, let's take a look at the next hurdle, and that is chain length. I'm pretty sure a 29 tooth sprocket isn't going to work on the setup that I had for a 28 tooth sprocket. Hopefully we can get away with just moving the wheel forward in this case. Ooh, I didn't put my sprocket bolt in. We'll get there. We'll get there. So it's actually really close, and luckily I loosened my wheel up for this scenario just in case. Is my chain tensioner sticking out, keeping it from forward? No, chain tensioner's not sticking out. Man, that is so close. Oh yeah, there it went. Awesome. So sprocket's on there. Wheels almost slammed, but the sprockets, their chain's loose. I'm excited about this now. I was genuinely worried that it wasn't gonna work, but now we've put everything together. The only thing I'm gonna have to do is move my brake pads, which is, I guess, not that big of a deal at all. So we also forgot to put our sprocket bolt in here, which is definitely very, very important in all of this. We also lost our sprocket bolt. There it is. Okay, so we're gonna throw the sprocket bolt in here, and this is what it looks like on the cranks, man. This thing is wild looking. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little nervous for what this might do on a concrete sub or an angle iron sub or any of the other things that I find myself riding that are really, really tough on a sprocket. But that's why we test these things, so you guys don't have to. And if you're buying a $110 sprocket that looks like this, you're buying it for a reason, and you know the consequences if you jump and smash into a concrete sub with it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and throw cone spacer on the other side again. Grab our wedge cluster. Oops, I dropped a wedge out. Okay, so here's a teachable moment here. Sometimes on the Odyssey Thunderbolts, the little wedge pieces can fall out. It's literally a rubber band that holds them in pretty much. So all you gotta do is put it back on there and you can slide it back. So we're gonna put the cluster back onto the crank arm. I never went and got my thrown away crank arm. Put that back on. The beauty of the Thunderbolts being that you always know when it's properly aligned, because it's very hard to get it wrong on these. Okay, so we'll finish tightening that up in a second. Actually, no, I lied. We should definitely tighten this first so that everything up front is exactly where it needs to be. Okay, cranks are tight. Let's give them a spin. Oh yeah. Looks pretty good, honestly. I'm psyched on this thing. Check out putting this thing on. Oh, I did not think about the aspect of the brakes. We can only hope that where this chain sits, it does not rub on my brakes. That would be very, very sad. I actually had a lot more room than I thought I did there. I even got out an extra little half link piece that goes in this chain in case I was gonna have to use it. Chain back on. Odyssey keychain. Sad, sad day whenever they stopped making this thing. There we go. Look how loose that is. I have room to work with here. That is awesome. Man, that is way too close for comfort on those brakes. It actually does rub a little bit. We'll see what we can do here. So we've gotten things to a point where they don't really rub. You can hear just a tiny bit there, but my chain is too tight. Can't crank flip. You gotta be able to crank flip this thing. So we're getting closer. I think there may be options here. My brake pads are really, really thick brake pads, so I may try to figure something out there. We'll get it. We will figure this out. And here we have it, the finished product with the sprocket installed with no problems or compromises whatsoever. It was a smooth process, and all I really had to do was move my wheel forward just a little bit and then do some adjusting with the brakes after that. And there's absolutely no brake rub whatsoever, as you can hear, and there's plenty of clearance up there, so that's not something that I'm worried about at all. My chain is properly tensioned to my liking, and double crank flips are an option, which is something that's a requirement for me because I love doing double crank flips. And for those of you who've made it all the way to the end of this video, Brotherhood BMX was gracious enough to send these out to me and also offer up a giveaway for those of you guys out there who are watching. Unfortunately, due to COVID and shipping and all of that craziness, it is another USA only giveaway. I'm sorry to everyone international. Something will be coming in the future for you guys, I promise. But on that note, they offered up one free item from their website, BRZHD.net, to the person I choose from the comments who leaves their favorite BMX sprocket of all time, along with the state they're from and the city that they're from in the comments down below. So even if you're international, let me know your favorite sprocket, but do say that you're international in there so there's no confusion. And the winner is going to be someone who leaves their city and state. It has to be that way from the start. So if you don't leave the city or state you're from in your comment, you're going to get skipped over, and I'm just going to pick another one after that. So on that note, thank you to Brotherhood BMX for sending these out to me. No, they're not paying me for any of this. They just offered to send out a sprocket that I genuinely already thought was awesome, and I want to put it on my bike and test it out and ride it, and I just think it looks cool, and I think you guys might feel similarly. So on that note, check them out and what they're doing. They're just doing cool and unique stuff. It feels like just whatever they want. And then the Bad Trip sprocket is like an art piece in BMX, which is just kind of cool. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you got something out of this. Leave your favorite sprocket in the comments down below, and hopefully you'll be subscribed so that we can see you tomorrow for another video. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.